Hi folks, John Dunn here, RPG freelancer, publisher behind Melee Review. I'm up here today at Immortals Inc. with Mikey.
What up, John? How is life going?
I'm feeling like smashing something.
Really?
Yeah.
That's dangerous. I don't know if we should be down here.
I think we need to smash something big, like
Okay.
maybe a building or a city. Yeah.
So some mecha activity.
I think some mecha or maybe some kaiju.
Some like world-ending
At least
stuff.
city stomping kind of mess.
Stop a beautiful skyscraper out.
You got it, man.
Cool.
Yeah. So if you're feeling that kind of mood, Mecha Monsters Evolved might be the game you want to check out. This is a book that came out in 2022, just in the fall, so it's fairly new. Alan Barr is the lead developer on this, and he is also the owner of the company Gallant Knight Games that's publishing this. There was a Kickstarter in September of 2021, raised about $25,000 for it. And this is the publisher who's also behind Tiny D6. And I got to say, I was not really familiar with Tiny D6 before reading this. I had kind of thought that it was just a derivation of the D6 system from West End Games' old Star Wars game. It is absolutely not that. It is something completely different. And Gallant Knight Games has a huge range of different products for Tiny D6. If this one sounds interesting to you, you might want to check out some of the others, but we'll come back to that. Alan Barr and his company really impressed me with the amount of hustle they have in putting out different games that use this game system. And Alan has freelanced on a ton of different projects, and this book also has a really cool bunch of contributing authors who worked on some stuff on this, and I'm going to mention some of them by name later. But the short version of this is basically this is a very fast and light way of telling stories in the vein of Pacific Rim.
Okay.
So if you want to have mecha fighting either other mecha or kaiju fighting either kaiju or just either one acting on their own, this system is a really fast way to do this. And it presents a bunch of micro settings. So if you don't want to have exactly Pacific Rim, but you want to do something else with mecha or kaiju, again, this game might be exactly what you're looking for. The first 4 chapters of the book run about 40 pages, and it presents the Tiny D6 system as adapted to this. Tiny D6 is a very light, fast system. They call it a minimalist system. If you've played BattleTech before, or you've played some other mecha games, you might think, oh, I've got to detail out my mech with all kinds of complex rules and exactly how much armor you've got here and what features you've got there. And that is absolutely not how this game works. This is a very fast, light game where you're rolling 2d6 for any action. Unless your character happens to have advantage, then they're rolling 3d6. If you're at disadvantage, you roll 1d6. You're looking for a 5 or a 6 on any of the dice you rolled. If you get that, you succeeded. There are very limited character advancement options. This is great for a one-shot or maybe a short campaign. Probably not ideal for an extended campaign, but that's okay because there's a ton of different settings here. The rules present options for creating your mecha, your kaiju, and your jockey. The jockey's the guy that's driving the mecha. If a jockey runs into either a kaiju or a mecha when he's not inside of one, he's just dead.
Yeah, you're getting stomped.
Yeah, pretty
or
much.
Picked up.
Yeah,
you're
having a bad day. There is a system for mecha design. There is a system for kaiju evolution. Real fast. You're going to pick 3 or 4 things for most of those.
I like that.
Yeah. Chapters 5 and 6 are a brief game master section, and you kind of get an enemy chart. It's about 8 pages. Not a ton of content here. Stuff you're getting through fast. So you're not going to spend weeks and weeks developing things. It's just, okay, bang, bang, bang. Here we go. After that, chapter 7 gets into outriders, which are basically your vehicles that aren't mecha. Your combiners, which if you ever did anything with Transformers or Voltron, you know what that is. Multiple mecha that are getting together to make something bigger. Transforming mecha, again, getting into Transformers and GoBots, where you've got mecha that can have multiple different forms. And then some additional rules on kaiju as well. And actually, the kaiju might be able to transform too. After that, we get into Chapter 8, which is your city creation section, and also a devastation gauge. So if you're playing from the Kaiju side, maybe you're trying to destroy the city. If you're playing from the Mecha side, you're trying to preserve the city. And I should point out, this is a game very much designed to be played from either perspective. So you could be playing as the, mecha heroes that are trying to protect things, or the Kaiju that are trying to destroy things. Probably not both at once, but your group could be made up of either. So it's not implicit that the Kaiju are the bad guys.
I just feel bad for my guys over at Kaiju Incorporated.
Absolutely.
Don't you?
Yeah. Whole different world there. After that, we start getting into the micro settings. There's a sample campaign first, which is called First Contact. It's about 70 pages. It's a pretty big chunk of the book. And this is a campaign that can be played from either perspective. Kind of reminds me of Blue Planet a little bit. And if you're familiar with that setting, you might recognize why in a second. So if you're playing the mecha side, you're coming from Earth and you're colonizing this alien world. If you're playing the Kaiju side, these crazy metal invaders have started showing up on your planet and are just destroying everything.
Right, they're trying to ruin.
And you're trying to protect it.
They're trying to ruin it.
Yeah, so it's this neat setting where you've got these kind of elemental themed Kaiju that are trying to protect this planet while these, human mecha pilots are invading it and trying to colonize. It's absolutely playable from either side, and you do have this precious resource that the humans want for their own purpose, and the Kaiju are trying to protect so that they can continue to live on the world. Really neat setting, really neat balancing act there. That's called First Contact. The next micro setting is by Chris Helton. It's a guy that used to actually run a RPG group here in Cleveland, kind of a mailing list for people to get together. It's a great guy. This one's called Angels and Demons. This is more of a street level Kaiju setting. Bubblegum Crisis was clearly a big influence. Again, this can be played from the mecha or the Kaiju side. If you're playing from the Kaiju side, you're playing as demons. So you've got these angelic, heroic mecha, but again, kind of street level, people-sized mecha, or these demons that are, again, kind of creating big person-sized monsters. Not really city stomping, but making things real interesting for people just trying to get by on the street.
Definitely ruin the local deli.
No question about it.
Yeah.
After that is another paired setting called In the Darkest Depths or From the Darkest Depths. This is by John Kennedy and Steffi Devon. I think they had done a fair amount of work on some of the World of Darkness settings. And this really brings out a lot of themes of underwater and the abyss, if you're familiar with that. Again, some kind of Blue Planet-y feels here with Blue Planet-esque aliens and Kaiju trying to defend against the mecha that are coming in. Next setting is called Muses of Fire, and I love this name, Macbeth.
Oh, Macbeth. Yes. Macbeth.
This is by Jack Norris, who I worked with him on his Chinsha setting for Fate.
Nice.
Yeah. And this one features transforming Kaiju. So instead of having mecha and mecha pilots, you can also have Kaiju and people that turn into them. If you're familiar with the Attack on Titan anime?
I'm familiar. I haven't watched it, but I'm familiar with it.
Okay. Kind of in that same vein. But the name Macbeth is there very much for a reason. This is a Shakespearean-themed setting.
Oh, gosh.
So it gets into play sets that cover Macbeth or Macbeth and In Fair Verona, which is very much Romeo and Juliet. And it would be very easy to riff on this with any of Shakespeare's other plays. And the world is called the Globe, of course, named for Shakespeare's theater. And there's different eras of the globe which correspond to the different eras of Shakespearean plays. So if you want to do Julius Caesar, that would obviously be in a very different era than Romeo and Juliet.
Yeah, just two mechs, one poisons himself and then one mourns to death and then poisons himself.
Or possibly at that point, you might do it as a mech pilot and a transforming Kaiju.
Absolutely.
Or coming from those two different backgrounds. Yeah,
exactly.
The last one is by Sean Carman, who I've backed some Kickstarters that he worked on before as well. This one is called Titan Defense Force. This is very much a Pacific Rim setting where you've got Titans Mecha trying to defend the planet from these invaders. Whole lot of stuff going on here. Whole lot of cool different ways you can play this. Fast system, real light. Really just about getting on with that story and having your characters do cool stuff in the face of, world-threatening dangers. From Gallant Knight Games, $40, hardcover, a little bit smaller than our usual 8.5 by 11 books, but nicely illustrated throughout.
I appreciate
cool
smaller
art.
books.
And, a little more portable too. Hardcover, 270 pages, $40. If that sounds interesting to you, stop in, check it out on the shelf, or hit us up at immortalsinc.com.
Well said, my friend. It's a mech war. See you guys later.
Good gaming, folks.